Good morning, everybody. Well done for getting up or staying up wherever you are in the world, and welcome to watch-along coverage for the first practice session for the MotoGP Japanese Grand Prix here at the Twin Ring Motegi circuit. For JP Motorsports, we've stayed in Japan and have made our way over as the green light goes on and the first free practice session, 45 minutes in length, gets underway here at Twin Ring Motegi. Riders are going to be heading out onto the circuit, finding their balance at this new track as well. First of all, if you're watching us live on Twitch, well done for getting up and staying up. If you're watching us on YouTube during the repeat, that's going to air early on in the morning as well, so you can watch it at your breakfast. Well done for sticking us on before you go to work or get up for the day. If you're just watching us, pleasure to have you all here as well. This is how this weekend's going to work. Practice will be live on Twitch with delayed coverage on YouTube. Qualifying, the Tissot Sprint and the Grand Prix will air live for MotoGP on YouTube and on Twitch. And the Moto3 and the Moto2 races, they air live here on Twitch, delayed on YouTube. That's the way it goes at the moment, just until we get Dorna's blocks sorted and we can get it all back up and running. But the riders heading out, there's Kyle Crutchlow going back out there, wild card at this event as well. You can see the riders taking part in this one: Bagnaia, Zarco, Vinales, Quadraro, Morbidelli, Ralph Fernandez, Nakagami, Binder, Kyle Crutchlow out there on the it's the Yamalube RS4 GP racing team. So it's the Yamalube out there as well, which is basically the same as Yamaha, just a bit changed around as well with a few different names. Not really that big of a difference compared to the rest of them. Out there, going further down after Crutchlow, Johan Mir, Augusto Fernandez, Aleix Spargo. Alex Rins is back for the first time for a long time. So Alex Rins back on. Not expecting much from him across this weekend, but it's nice to see that he is back, and fingers crossed he's going to be okay. Further down, we get Jack Miller, Paul Spargo, Fabio Antonio, Michele Pirro back as on the Ducati, and Marco Bezzecchi, Miguel Oliveira, Jorge Martin, and Marc Marquez, of course. But all eyes are on Pecco Bagnaia. A golden opportunity at the Indian Grand Prix, of course, to get out there, extend the championship lead. It didn't happen. Instead, the championship lead has been reduced to just 13 points now in the standings. There's an awful lot of work to do, and an awful lot of work and action to focus on. Let's catch up then with the TNT commentary team. Gavin Emmett, Neil Hodgson and Michael Laverty alongside there as we wait for the first lap times to come in.
Looking unsteady, like it's not dialed in. You understand it at the last round in India perhaps, but in Misano it wasn't quite there. And he says he's got two different bikes set up for today to try and get his head around it.
Which you would say is unusual when you think current world champion. Obviously they did change the GP23 a little bit, so he's got a slightly different base. Yes, there's no data for India, but the Misano was a bit of a shocker, because that's always been Pecco's strength, to be able to stop the bike a little better than the other Ducati riders and then turn it even more fluid through the middle of the corner. As we see shots, Luca Marini obviously not on the grid this weekend, so yeah, hopefully we'll see him back in Indonesia.
Yeah, has been operated on back in Italy, so hoping to get back sooner rather than later after that first corner incident. Yeah, but I found it really fascinating yesterday, Michael, Pecco's discussions with the media in the press conference, also when he spoke to Nat for our interviews. Very similar sort of comments. It felt like the Pecco last year, when there were mistakes or there were the crashes and actually no owning up to those kinds of mistakes.
I still think it is the beauty of motorcycle racing. Obviously Johan having getting it all wrong there.
That's the hairpin. Yeah, that's a hairpin coming onto the back straight for Zarco.
But yeah, the thing is with Pecco, the bike hasn't changed, the tyres haven't changed, everything's locked for the season. Yet all of a sudden, he's gone away from something that he could do what he wanted on the bike, and he's struggling to almost recalibrate everything. So they may need to adjust the base setting somewhat. But it is fascinating that these, you think all the data that Ducati have, the engineers in there, the know-how, and somehow they've lost their way ever so slightly.
How much of it do you think is between the ears?
100% of it. is it a coincidence that he has a massive high side in Barcelona, gets his legs run over, and from that point on, he's not quite been the same rider? That's the issue, isn't it? It's not the bike. The bike's not changed, so they'll figure it out. And obviously, the last weekend was another one of his mistakes. We saw him make a few of them last year. But I don't think we need to read too much into it. I think they will, with, like you say, all the data, because they can see what the other Ducati riders are running. This weekend, I think they'll fix the problem and he will battle for victory.
Absolutely, and the first lap times just starting to come through now as well. Jorge Martin in the reds in Sector 1. Miller also up there as well, but still looking faster, actually. Thousandths of a second. Look at Fabio Di Giannantonio, the second sector quicker. And another thousandths quicker for Miguel Oliveira. So, and then 48.2 for Bagnaia. So, it looks like the times are coming in already on this opening gambit.
Presidents, that kind of thing. It's going to be interesting, isn't it, this weekend to see how he fares.
Yeah, we're all intrigued. Obviously, good weekend for Honda in India. New track, definitely through the cat amongst the pigeons. They did seem to find something in Misano, so the test following the race weekend with some new components and a bit of a direction on the 2024 bike, but actually the riders found something in body position, in centre of gravity. I imagine lowering it ever so slightly to allow them to find more traction from the Michelin rear tyre to stop the bike a bit better from the rear end of the machine, and it's brought both riders to the front. So Mir was like the old Joan Mir, which is so good to see. A man who lost his way massively this season, and Marc Marquez was doing what Marc does, performing miracles on the RC 213B. So yeah, I think this weekend at home we're going to get some answers. We're going to see what they're made of at the moment.
Some interesting opening gambits as well in terms of times and positions, because we've got Vinales gone fastest on a 1:46.449. Then we get Quartararo from Marc Marquez. Bagnaia's got up into fourth position as well. Marco Bezzecchi P5, Ralph Fernandez 6th, Di Giannantonio 7th, Jack Miller 8th, Miguel Oliveira 9th, and Jorge Martin going nicely into 10th position. Alex Rins back on. Nice to see him as well. The 27-year-old from Barcelona back in. Multiple race winner as well in the series. Of course, won here this season with the LCR team at the Circuit of the Americas Grand Prix at Austin, Texas. Now he's announced he's leaving the LCR team. He's joining Yamaha next year, replacing Franco Morbidelli, who's going over to Ducati at the Prima Pramac team, replacing Johan Zarco. So there's a lot of rumour mills going around. We were expecting the announcement this weekend, of course, that Marc Marquez is going to be leaving the Honda team and going to Gresini. But at the moment, as things stand, we've had no official confirmation on that and no official go-to on that news, which is upsetting us. It's upsetting everyone at home because nothing's working on it. We're waiting to see it happen, and nothing is. As Rins comes across the line, wish we could have track noise back because it's sounding very, very quiet all of a sudden out there as Rins in towards turn 1. There goes the track noise as we ask for it. It comes back to us. 148 then for Rins. Puts him up there. Bagnaia looking impressive as well on the openings, but Maverick Vinales with a 1:46.084. He's fastest at the moment.
I'm now, let's say, 90%, and then
You were 100% about 2 minutes ago.
And then you hear that he's not running the new chassis. Well, he's definitely not allowed to. Exciting though. I know it's not official yet, but it is so exciting, isn't it?
And we're not going to find anything out this weekend. He says, "I'm not going to." There's nothing happening this weekend.
But how cool! We're going to have Marquez on a Ducati next year.
That time cancelled for Quartararo, exceeding track limits.
If that does happen, you do wonder, will it still be the second-rate Ducati, the older generation, which Gresini typically get, which is still good material, but when you've got someone of Marc's caliber in your ranks, and the factory might want to step up the material going that direction.
So there's two things going to happen, right? So if he ends up on, let's say, last year's bike, which you'd have to say that would be what would be expected. So, you know, as in on this year's bike next year. Yeah. That's what would be expected. Do you think he could still win?
Well, if Marco Bezzecchi can win 3 races on last year's bike, you'd say.
So this is my thing. I've been thinking about it, obviously. So, yeah, I'm ready. Right, go on. So if that's the case, do you know what's going to happen next year? all the guys on the latest Ducati are going to complain, saying the new bike's not as good. Don't you know it?
Absolutely.
I'm just teeing that one up for you.
Cal Crutchlow said yesterday, if he does switch, there's no point anyone turning up because he's going to wipe the floor with them. Cal's never one to mince his words, is he?
Indeed not. It's nice to see Cal Crutchlow back this weekend. He's going to complete his lap time, goes 17th at 147.550. Johan Zarco goes into pit lane. Pekka Bagnaia jumps to the top with a 145.631 after 10 minutes then of the opening practice session. It's gone by quite quickly, actually. Always does, doesn't it, in the middle of the night? Everybody says, oh, well, the hours just fly by. They really, really do. Compared to the Indian Grand Prix. Fabio Quartararo looking behind him there as well, just trying to notice something as he heads down in towards turn 2. Now, he had lap time cancelled a few laps ago, and has he done something in towards turn number 1? The chain looking a bit faulty there, like it's coming a bit loose. Don't forget, this is somebody who had 2 bike failures. Oops, I'm coming out turn 2, trying to throw him over the front of the bike there. So, yeah, don't forget, this is Fabio Quartararo, who had 2 bike failures in the first practice session at India. So there's going to be a lot to watch out for. Hello to SHT. He says, hey, Josh, well, seems like Rins and Crutchlow are competing this weekend. They are. Crutchlow on a wild card on the Yamalube RS4 GP racing team. And Alex Rins back at LCR Honda as well. Nice to see you again, SHT, by the way, on our Twitch chat as well. Back now top for Vinales Quartararo at the moment.
GP to evaluate a little bit further, but Fabio's obviously had a little bit of an introduction to them at a test. They haven't rewarded him in lap time, so he's ready to put them in the bin, but that happens quite often. So Yamaha obviously have their strategy in work, and it hasn't been reaping the rewards that they require right now, but obviously they'll bring the new parts and see what they can learn on a race weekend.
Yeah, and Cal himself didn't seem like he was shouting from the rooftops about it. But obviously it's part of the programme. I think what I understood, my understanding of it from Cal was it wasn't necessarily the right way to go about it, to come out in the press. And, you know. But they do get on, aren't they? The pair of them, they are getting on and trying to push it on in a similar kind of direction. I think there is a bit of frustration that they both feel, my understanding speaking to both of them, they both feel that aero isn't the answer. It's not necessarily all going to be about aero. You're going to have to build it into the bike and into the power delivery.
Yeah, chatting to Cal about this, and I'm not giving away any secrets. He said the problem is we still have the issue where the main rider, which is Fabio, is always pushing for a little bit more power. He wants the bike to be faster. The problem is that's not the answer. Cal says we need rear grip, and every time we get a faster engine, it usually means it's slightly more aggressive. And actually we have less rear grip, and then all our problems just seem even bigger. They appear to be going around in circles with that. That's. But again, we have talked about this for quite a while.
But then the aero becomes an integral part of that.
Yeah,
and the rear grip, doesn't it? And that's what we found with Ducati and KTM and Aprilia.
Yeah, they've utilised the aero body to find turning, to find grip, traction. But actually, the comments hark back to what Dovey said when he rode the Yamaha. And Dovey came off a heavily aero Ducati and knew that Yamaha fundamentally weren't getting the traction out of the engine character, out of the chassis. They need more grip. So grip equates to opening the throttle earlier, which punches off the turn, which carries more top-end speed. Aero can obviously work with it, but at the moment they've chased horsepower. They've made an engine with a character that doesn't give the riders the Yamaha sweet spot that they've used to such success over the years. So yeah, I actually tend to agree, and it's nice to hear Cal being quite vocal and open with his opinion in the press yesterday. And I think if they can find the sweet spot again, then all of a sudden they could unlock what Suzuki had done at the end of last year with an inline 4.
Easy to forget that as well. It's easy to forget. It seems like a long time ago, Michael. The Suzuki at the end of last year was so successful, winning, was it 2 out of the last three?
Yeah.
In line 4
in Australia and Valencia, of course.
Yeah, we sort of sit here thinking, well, I don't know, can Yamaha actually dig themselves out of this hole? Yeah, absolutely, I think they can do. And but they've to work on their strengths. One thing I will add as well, I won't give away any names, but I spoke to someone who is working in a Ducati team, and he said to me, you will be shocked at how little power the Ducati engine produces. It's not what everybody thinks. What they have been able to do with their combination of the whole package, electronics, aero, is produce an engine that is really soft and it creates grip. Usable power. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
just to have a quick word with SHT. We've got, who says Nick de Vries is back in Formula E. He is indeed. And don't know where De Grassi is going to go yet, or Lotterer. Down to 10-11. Very dangerous downhill braking zone where the rear always wants to step out to do exactly the same thing for Fabio Quartararo. Just runs a bit wide, and that's where he lost that lap time a few moments ago. We were wondering, and he's back in the pit lane now.
Is that mid-turn, but then also the rear grip to drive out the corner because it's too aggressive.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Neil Hodgson is swung the other way again. Confirmed that
Looking at a
Marquez is
Ducati
definitely
rider.
on a Ducati.
Definitely.
Next year.
I'm saying definitely. I'm saying 100%. I've just gone up another 10.
Okay.
I'm just going to just text Cal. No, actually, Cal didn't say that. I'm not going to blame Cal for this one. No. Well, it is the rumour in the paddock.
It is.
Everyone's like, no, it's a done deal. You're just waiting for the announcement.
Yeah, and I think people will say, wouldn't you want to put one over on Honda here? It's not going to happen here. It is not going to be announced in Japan. People talk about legacy and these kind of things. I've said it before, and surprise in some decisions. It's not about that. It's just about the fact he's won 6 championships together with Honda, and you just don't. He's not going to burn any bridges or anything that he's got to do. Who knows where he's going to be in the future in a couple of years? Who knows what he's going to do? But he will make the announcement soon. I would suggest probably next week.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not too sure when, but it's a very, very, very complicated divorce, isn't it? It's as simple as that. It's a very complicated. It's not as straightforward as someone announcing it. There'd be so many clauses in the contract.
Finders lost lap times.
The agreements. You
can just imagine there are still talks of him buying half of the team, and this sort of thing is. These discussions are being made, and sponsors having to break contracts or set up another contract, and that doesn't happen in the blink of an eye.
No, it doesn't. It's going to be a very long season.
This is why it's all dragging on and on.
Hey, Rinzer's going okay. He's 1.9 seconds off, having not ridden a MotoGP bike since Mugello, where he broke his tib and fib. Horrible. I've seen images and footage of him trying to train, trying to ride, and he doesn't look strong enough or fit enough. Obviously, he has been declared fit, so he has had to go through certain tests, but I'm very impressed to see that he's only 1.9 seconds off straight away.
Brad Binder, the talk is, Michael, that we're going to see the carbon fibre frame. The thing is, it's really hard to tell, isn't it, from here, sat in the commentary box, because it's wrapped, and you can't really see it. But that's the talk that the
Michael can tell. He'll tell from here.
You need the X-ray vision, but you can actually see. But you have to get right up close to the headstock to see the carbon. It is wrapped orange to throw us a bit of a look. But we expect the carbon frame to be in there. Still tubular in look. The original trellis design remains in a way, but using carbon as a material because they can, now that they've got all the 7 years worth of data and experience behind them, they know what they need to achieve, and it's more achievable with carbon if you know exactly what's required in terms of decoupling the stresses in different directions. So whether you want flex at lean angle, or you need it to not twist, to take the torsion out of it on acceleration, or likewise on braking, so they can achieve that. And it looks like they've Danny Pedrosa on Misano showed that it was definitely performance. So hopefully some upgrades from both Jack and Brad here this weekend.
Got to love the Japanese fans with all the weird and wonderful outfits that people turn up with.
I want the cat's head.
Is it a cat? I thought it was a wolf.
Okay, well, we were only here 7 days ago, of course, for Formula One's Japanese Grand Prix. Now it's MotoGP's turn. Marc Marquez in the Honda garage on the radio, just talking back to his team as well. 26 minutes to go. Bagnaia fastest from Martin, Vinales, Quartararo, Marc Marquez, Bezzecchi, Fernandez, Morbidelli, Leishbag and Miguel Oliveira. Top 10. Quiet start to the session so far.
I wonder if it's just something that they've just come across that hasn't quite been working. Come to a track they know well. Ducati have had successes here over the years. 6 MotoGP wins, including last year with Jack Miller. and you feel like on paper this is just made for Ducati to do well.
Yeah, well, it's funny because it was originally made for a Honda to do well, if you think about it. That was the Honda strength, wasn't it? Stability, heavy braking, and then like a bit of a drag strip. We've got these slow corners onto long straights. How times have changed.
Well, weirdly, Yamaha were good around here for a period too. Jorge Lorenzo was so fast around this place, and on paper, you would not say this was a Jorge Lorenzo track. So, yeah, it is, but Ducati's time to really excel because they're so good at braking and accelerating. And you look at especially the last 2 sectors of the racetrack, after you get through the bit of a flip-flop, it is all about braking and accelerating.
Yeah, Lorenzo won here 2009, 13 and 14.
He was a bit special though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he has 3 MotoGP wins here. Danny Pedrosa has 3. Loris Capirossi has 3. Marc Marquez has 3. So they're all tied for most number wins.
Any news on when Bastianini is going to be back?
No,
Pirro's obviously replacing him again this week.
I think there'll be a hope for Indonesia. I saw he's having laser therapy, these kinds of things, trying to hurry up the healing process. He's obviously got scarring on his ankle and wrist, both being operated on. So I feel for him, the way the season has just not quite panned out like we expected. You know, we've got Martin and Bezzecchi battling, but we saw some replays of the opening race again at Portimao, and he was right up there at the start of the sprint. He was in the mix.
So unlucky.
Yeah. Seems an age ago, doesn't it, when you think back to Portimao and remembering the impact and the way he went down on his shoulder. You already know that your season's nearly done because shoulder injuries are so complex, they can drag on, and then further crashes and the pressure of being in factory Ducati colours and, you know, stepping up and not delivering what was obviously your promise and what you were signed on, and Jorge Martin taking the championship fight and all the story we talked about at the end of the last season just unravelling before Enea's eyes. But we all believe in his talent. He'll steer the ship right for 2024, no doubt.
I so hope so. I'm just thinking as you were saying all that, you're just like, it could not have gone any worse with exactly what Jorge Martin is doing. It's he's such a nice kid. He's such a happy-go-lucky character. So yeah, but I'm like you, Michael. I believe in his talent. He will bounce back, and he'll be right up at the sharp end next year.
As you watch Marco Bezzecchi out on the circuit, one person that we haven't spoken to much and we haven't heard from, and I've seen him a couple of times say hello, but it's Fabio Gianantonio.
I had a real long chat with him yesterday. And how random you mentioned that.
Well, because I just feel like he is, to coin up a terrible phrase, dead man walking, really. We know that he's not going to be there on that bike, whatever happens next year. And yet he's still having to go out there with everything, all the talk about his bike, and no one's actually talking to Fabio.
Yeah, and what it seems like, he's obviously well aware that if Mark goes into the team, he's out, obviously. But he's still pinning his hopes that there is an opportunity there. I was trying to fish, but without. It's quite a difficult question.
It's a delicate, that's my point.
And I've always gotten really well with him. You know what it's like. He speaks English better than you, Gav. So, but he's a lovely lad. He's Fabio Di Gianantonio. But do you know what he wanted to talk about more than anything? He wanted to talk about Alonso Lopez, and his crazy moves on Jake Dixon and the collision and what he'd done to other riders.
On it?
He was horrified. He was saying, how is it possible for a rider to be so aggressive to destroy so many other people's races? He mentioned the Sam Lowe's incident from Mugello where he completely wiped him out there, and he said he gets a double long lap penalty. It's like if he could still even score points. He said he shouldn't be here this weekend. He was incredibly animated about it. So
I'm glad to hear that. A fellow MotoGP rider, because that's how I felt sat in the commentary box last week talking about the race. I thought, everyone's just going to think we're being biased because it's Jakey wiped out, but he seems so oblivious in the moves he makes, and he doesn't go and apologise. Yet again, he didn't go and apologise, and he just says, on to the next one. That's his thing. It's like, this is the race. And I'm like, no, it's not. have a bit of a look and be aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware of your decision-making process in the race has consequences.
Oh, and Johan Mir's gone down. Mir's crashed out down at turn 5. Just dropped the front end of the bike, and he's gone down, down, down. He's up and walking away, though, which is good news. He's taken carry, did it? So turns in. right-hander. As soon as he actually goes to drop the bike in, the front end drops away from him at the front, and down he goes like a sack of spuds. He's walking away in the gravel trap there. Marshall's with him. Bike get recovered. Just a small little accident. So it brings out the local yellows only, as Johan Zarco now doing some communications coming through. Now Martin on the other side of the garage we're hearing also not doing too well there. So both of them having a few little things. Zarco is sector 4. So we've seen a replay of Zarco. Now we're seeing Jorge Martin on the board. SHT says, yeah, besides Lawson, I don't think there's anyone else that can take over. That's our chat in the Twitch chat for just joining us about how Red Bull losing many riders. That time cancelled for Zarco due to yellow flags. And this is Martin down to turn 5. Take a listen to the front dropping. Oh, that is down at turn 10. So he nearly lost the front at turn 10. That bike just not wanting to brake at all. So that's why he thought he was having problems. Interesting. That's why he's in the pits. The front nearly went away.
Line, but normally in a hairpin you don't get away with it. So that's why, and what it does, it scares you. Not as in you're not frightened of crashing. You just don't want to crash because it's going to ruin your session. Always sounds confusing. You think you don't want to crash because you're going to get hurt. You don't even, that doesn't even enter your mind. It's like, oh, that was so close, and then you're annoyed and you come in and take it out on the team.
What do we think of his new helmet and number livery? And
yeah, it's a little bit too much for me. What about you, Michael?
I'm a bit the same. After a beautiful 60th anniversary helmet last week,
it's another Alpine Stars collaboration like the one last week, but this is with the Antisocial Social Club, LA streetwear brand that's been popular since COVID, pretty much.
Down with the kids, Gav.
Got a wardrobe full of it.
Yeah. With your little oversized T-shirts and all that lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your flares.
But, I mean, Martin's proper target audience for that kind of thing, isn't he? So,
yeah,
I'm not a fan of it.
You and Jorge Martin, very similar individuals.
Similar kind of individuals. Yeah.
You also struggled with heat exhaustion walking the track yesterday.
Hey, and so did you.
It was hot, wasn't it? I was pleased to find out that's the hottest day in history for this time of year.
Yeah.
Because we weren't done. We were spent, weren't we?
Actually, Fernandez making good progress, isn't he?
Sorry, I was just going to say, actually, I did wonder all weekend with Jorge Martin, because he was so exhausted after it, if he'd worked him pre-cooling, and he actually put up some Instagram pictures through the weekend. He's got one of those iCool Pro pools, which is designed to, you can set the temperature of the water, you can pre-cool, lowering your core temperature. So he's been through all that and then had that type of result, which is surprised. Maybe he just got the numbers wrong on the day.
So he said to Natalie yesterday that it was nutrition and supplements that he feels that they got wrong.
I think that was our issue walking the track yesterday.
Definitely got
I think we got the nutrition and supplements wrong. We tried
over the last 15 years.
It was interesting. We tried hard as well in Tokyo for that night out to get as much nutrition and supplements as we could get.
Yeah. Good ramen. Really good.
Good ramen.
I can't remember.
Marco Bezzecchi is only running down in 7th at the start of this, but picking up on this lap. Now he's headed back out there, still on the medium front, medium rear. Alex Rins has just joined the racetrack again. Bezzecchi just dropping back a little bit in the 3rd split. Awful, tricky corner, that turn 11, the 90-degree corner underneath.
I was going to say, actually, look at Bezzecchi's sector time, looking really good from 7th on the grid across the line. Does Bezzecchi improve? Yeah, up to 3rd, 1:45.810. 10th off the pace of Bagnaia. Very good opening time there. SHG says Hauger is still a long way to go, with him having struggles in Formula 2. Fittipaldi solid, but maybe not there yet. Maloney, Crawford and Hadjar not close to being in Formula 1. That's why they've got no one left. If Lawson goes to Williams in Formula 1, they've got no one left. But right now, Bagnaia in the MotoGP, closing in and having a good opening stint here at the moment. After his fall in India, he wants to have a smooth run as we get the lap time cancelled for Tatiki Nakagami for exceeding the track limits.
Years ago, and then you just want to get out on track then, don't you, and prove to everyone that you are the man.
Yeah, it is the best feeling, isn't it? When you know you've made a huge mistake and you get a little bit of redemption to take your frustration out on the track just a few days later. So the back-to-backs are perfect for that.
As and then it's the worst scenario when you have a bad round or you make a silly mistake and then you've like a 3-week, a 4-week off. Normally, you're not a nice person to live with in that period.
Kelly Piro's just gone ahead of Cal Crutchlow and Alex Rins. Right on board with Pecco Bagnaia, fastest in the first half an hour of this session. Definitely the 2 times I've seen him out on track, which hasn't been much, but looked a lot more stable than it had done in the last 2 races at Bud. You know what, the way it sort of was juddering into the corner, I wouldn't call it necessarily chatter as such. It just felt like the data was off, the software was off, whatever electronics is.
We've done well to stay on that.
He has done really well.
He went in there with a bit too much lean angle.
And kept it.
Yeah, well done, that man. That was one of them. Normally, you'd be down with that one.
But it just felt like the software was off or whatever.
Yeah. So corner entry used to be clutch, and it's not slipper clutch anymore. They barely use the slipper clutch. In fact, they actually lock it up quite tight, so they control it a lot with the idle control. So you're essentially opening and closing the throttle, the butterflies, to regulate the amount of rear wheel slip. But the chain force, if you get a bit more grip than you anticipate to the numbers that are in there, all of a sudden you get a bit of push and a bit of hop and a skip and a jump, and sometimes going back a little bit old school and adding a bit of slip in there from the clutch does alleviate that somewhat. So I agree that it's a numbers game. They will model it, they'll figure it out and try and regain his corner entry prowess.
What he said. Yeah. I was just going to say that, Michael.
Yeah. Took the words right out of
my mouth. Yeah, just going to say that.
But actually, when you talk about that, speaking of Chaz, he was in Catalunya and he had dinner with Ricardo Savin, who's like, I think he's head of vehicle dynamics at Ducati, and he used to work with Chaz back in Aprilia days. Actually, he came with Gigi across to Ducati, and he's their main man that no one really knows about. But he was saying it's unbelievable what we don't know about motorbikes, because in car racing you've got 4 anchor points, everything's locked down, and the numbers are precise. But here, because the rider's moving about so much and simple things, one of the...
I'm going to interrupt, Matt. I'm going to interrupt because look at Jorge Martin. Really strong sector times at the moment. Should be able to go faster across the line and does so. Martin to the top with a hard front, medium rear, 145.509. The only rider out there with a hard front, medium rear. Everyone else is medium front, medium rear, bar Alex Rins, who's soft front, medium rear. So a few changes out there. 3 different tyres of compound available. The hard, the medium and the soft at both the front and the rear. So Martin likes it to 145.509. That's the banker lap time we've got here at the moment at the Twin Wing Motegi in Japan. And he's sliding that back around on the 89 as well. So Martin, after nearly dropping at turn 10, likes what he's got. Now, as she says, Awasa has the potential, but I think he still has the ability, is lacking to have work on it yet. So Awasa is possibly the bet to go to. Martin's still going faster in the 2 sectors now as well.
Jorge Martin, and instantly, first lap out flying, and he's quicker than everybody, and he's quarter of a second under halfway round. I feel we're going to be hearing about hard front tyres and...
braking stability.
Oh. That's what we might be hearing about over the weekend.
Yeah, I think that's normally what happens with the hard front tyre. You got that one wrong.
Yeah, he was in a little bit deep, wasn't he?
Still under.
Hey, Gav, how steep's that downhill?
Really steep. Your water bottle was really tumbling down yesterday when you're trying to show how steep it was, and it was really ineffective.
Yeah, I thought I'd do something for the gram, and it was poor.
It didn't really work, did it?
No, it didn't.
But it does drop off significantly, and it's not, it starts downhill the straight, but then it's about where the bridge is. Then it gets steeper and steeper right down to the apex. Martin picked up time despite that.
Yeah, despite, and he was way wide, wasn't he, Michael, at the hairpin?
That's the strength of the Ducati. You can V it a little bit, so he obviously gave up a little bit, but you can still manage to achieve the lap time in a different way.
I think the V-Corner's the one before.
Oh yeah, it is actually.
It actually is. Sorry, I'm just jealous because I couldn't explain how the slip and clutch and all that one. Anyway, the Aprilia looks nice.
Yeah, they've built the onboard camera into the rear spoiler, which I saw Miguel Oliveira with earlier on in that session.
Here's Carl.
Here is Carl. So,
how's he going to get on this weekend?
Well, he's just gone through. It was a second off until Martin has just moved the order of things that little bit further on. He's about Joan Mir's pace at the moment.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive. I'm just looking at where he's with the other Yamahas. Yeah, he's about 0.6 off Frankie Morbidelli.
Oh, he's on track behind him now.
Yeah.
So that's the new aero, or sorry, the next step aero that Frankie and Fabio Quartararo have both sort of said, not quite sure. Obviously, Frankie's not going to be going anywhere near that anymore now that he's on his way onto a factory Ducati. Although I can't imagine Ducati are going to be looking at Yamaha's aero and going, there's something we can take out of that.
But Cal running the double exhaust exit and the rear, obviously trying to change the engine character somewhat. As we talked about earlier in the session, it is all about, I think, the engine more than anything for 24. And you can't change it right now, even as a wildcard rider.
Now Jorge Martin even quicker still. Now 4/10 faster than Pecco Bagnaia. That hard front has made a massive difference to him.
Yeah, and all the riders will be seeing that, and the teams will be.
Admits he made a mistake in tyre choice last time out, Jorge Martin, going with a medium. When just one rider picks a different tyre to the rest.
Usually.
On rare occasions. And Martin is down.
Oh, yep. Down goes Jorge Martin. And that's the first one. That's turns 3 and 4 with the long lap loop is. And Martin just throws it down on the deck. Not a great corner, that one, to go down on. And he's just down on the inside line. Dips away. Airbag's gone off as well, so it was a biggie. Let's take a look at it. So, left-hander double, goes straight on into the gravel. As soon as he hits the gravel, the front just goes down on him. Nothing he could do, and trail brakes in, second gear. Trying to go down, hits the gravel around about 30 mile an hour. Just brings the front of it down. Imagine running downhill and your leg hits the front leg and you're just going to go over straight away and knock your 2 front teeth out. It's exactly what's happened there, unfortunately. There's 8 minutes to go. And there's the championship. Bagnaia 292, Tim Martin's 279. 13 points between them. Bezecchi's 44 back, Binder 100. So it's really Bagnaia and Martin, a two-way fight to go in the title. And they are 1-2 at the moment in this practice session. Martin from Bagnaia. This is free practice one, remember. It doesn't count towards anything. That's practice, the hour session later on today.
Only not scored points twice this year, and that was in Portugal in the race there. He was taken out by Marc Marquez, and in the USA. And they're the only 2 times he's not scored. Would be if it was just Sundays, the top 3 would be covered by 2 points. Sorry, Bezecchi 182, Bagnaia 181, Martin 180.
Quite interesting, isn't it? Shows what how close it is, and it is hard to call, isn't it? Which way it's going to go. We've not talked about chest protector gate. Do you want to explain that one, Gav?
I'll try my level best. So, there have been people have been in contact with us here, saying that they feel that Jorge Martin wasn't necessarily wearing a chest protector last time in the race, and obviously he's supposed to, because obviously his leathers weren't fastened up. He's come out and basically said, oh no, it's just my leathers weren't fastened up, and you can see on the grid it was open. And he actually said, I thought I'd get away with it until I saw it on the big screen. And then I thought, well, I better do them up. And he lost his second and so on and so forth. But there are some people saying that when he came back and he was unwell and all the post-race fatigue and that he'd ask for a chest protector. So, yeah, it's one thing that's
been doing the rounds. It's been doing the rounds. The rules are you have to have a chest protector. If you don't, then it's automatic disqualification.
Yeah, which is only a recent addition to the rules. I can't remember how many years ago they added the chest protector as mandatory.
It was 2 years ago, wasn't it? Fabio Quartararo at Barcelona.
Prior to that, if you had an airbag, that was sufficient, but now it's airbag combined with chest protector. So yeah, if you don't like wearing them, and it is a hot race where you don't, obviously that blocks off the airflow through the ventilation holes that are cut in the leather suit. So perhaps he did choose not to wear one on the day and then almost got found out.
One with Danilo Petrucci, didn't it? In
Superbikes it did. Yeah, you're right. And he got disqualified. What do we think? No, I guess none of us know. I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, it didn't look like he had one on the bike, I gotta say. Whenever I remember thinking that in the race, as the zip came down, you couldn't see the chest protector.
And they are only small. You saw it as in with him walking back into the garage, he had it in his hand then after that little tip off. So, yeah. Because one of the questions was, why, if he was exhausted, did he stop at his garage for a drink when you knew all you've got to do is just, it's park firm is there and they will have a drink for you because that's standard.
So it was come back and...
Yeah, to stop at your garage,
Yeah.
and then he got the mechanic and the crew chief and spoke to him like really closely, didn't he? Anyway, who knows? But yeah, it's definitely been doing the rounds.
It's a theory, as Marc Marquez comes up to the S. He felt, Marc Marquez, actually things would go better this weekend. Said that actually stop-and-go circuits, not too bad. Obviously, it's the mid-corner, long hanging corners in particular. He said Silverstone and Catalunya were the worst. So, Martin
new seats
gets
on.
ready to go out.
In Constantine.
Yeah, that one doesn't look scuffed at all.
His suits always look slightly baggy, I always think.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
As well.
But some people do prefer them like
Absolutely.
that, don't they? Yeah.
And with everyone having an airbag as well, the suit has to have a little bit of room, let's say, allowed for when it goes off. It was like
You saw that with how Pecco Bagnaia, how far it inflated.
I always like my suits really tight, and as soon as I said it, I thought of you, Gav, you'd smile, like your
You ordered
t-shirt.
a child size
Yeah,
again.
like your t-shirt. No, I did, because quite early on in my career, I had a crash, and I had a really baggy suit on, and my knee protector just spun all the way around, and I basically got no protection on my knee, and it was quite an old school. It was when there was like elastic in the back of your knee, so I just had no protection. It just wore a massive hole in my knee, and I ended up having going straight to hospital, having that sort of.
I'm looking
at Michael Laverty's scar.
Wait a second. Is this the India security guard going through security? Where
how funny
Charlie
was that?
Hiscott,
Oh yeah,
Neil,
I forgot about that.
or everyone setting off the scanners.
Yeah, Gav's going, what's going on there? I'm going, it's the screws in my knee. Because he was trying to find him I've obviously got something around my knee, going beep, beep, and I'm going, motorbike, crash. Anyway,
Not quite working with KTM's just yet as they dial things in. Brad Binder 9th, Paul Espargaro was 11th, Jack Miller was 13th. They were all together a moment ago. Binder goes ahead of Marc Marquez now. Remember, Brad Binder took second place here 1 year ago. Something I wanted to bring, actually, obviously I wasn't in the Moto2 session before, was Augusto Fernandez goes up into third spot. Pedro Costa made a bit of an aside comment yesterday to Spanish TV, to our colleague Izaskun Ruiz, talking about the calendar, and she said, what's your thought of it? 44 races. He goes, yeah, in theory. She goes, what? He goes, oh yeah. Who knows what's going to happen? She goes, really? He goes, well, I don't know. But it would be just little asides of comments, but a bit like if the line was, if I do go, as in if I might be here. I mean, it's a strange one, isn't it? But
you can read into that many different ways,
Yeah.
though, because you could think, we'll take the easy one, Kazakhstan might not happen, so yeah, in theory, or you could say,
I don't know. It was definitely not about.
think
It was about
the amount of MotoGP races.
He wasn't an angry or disappointed or the way he said it. The way he actually said it was more of, I don't have a clue of where I'm going to be riding or whose ride I'm going to be taking.
I don't believe that one bit. As in,
If you watch it, you would understand. What I
Okay,
said.
right, yeah. Oh no, I'm not doubting that. I know you're telling the truth. As in, I'm just saying. I think he's just been.
No, but that's what I'm
Playing the
saying.
game.
He's not. It's more like him sort of just saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, getting towards the end of the session, Binter does a 1:45.747, goes third fastest. Jorge Martin still the fastest at the moment. Been a good opening 45 minutes, this. Across the line, Martin does a 1:46.321. Doesn't improve overall on the best times. Augusto Fernandez next across the line then on the gas bike and goes second, 1:45.330. Lap time cancelled for Maverick Vinales due to exceeding the track limits. Checker flag is out then. Here comes Johan Mir. And he's just coming down the other start-finish strip, the opposite side of the track, down towards turn 11, a hard downhill braking zone. But the flag is out. The session is over. And Mir's going to cross the line next. Here he is, coming out the last corner. Checker flag's out. And Johan Mir goes from 15th all the way up to 4th position with a 1:45.685. Marco Bezzecchi looking strong as well, coming across the line now. Bezzecchi does a 1:45.510. Marc Marquez 13th, Michele Pirro 20th at the moment as everyone completes their opening times in the opening session of the weekend. Di Antonio 14th, Crutchlow 18th. Lap time cancelled for the 21 of Franco Morbidelli and the 20 of Fabio Quartararo. So both of the Yamahas exceeding track limits, losing out on their opening times. Aleix Espargaro's first set's looking good. Binder 2, Martin, Augusto Fernandez all looking faster and better than what they did before as Aleix comes down towards the line and Aleix does a 1:46.696. Nice time there. Brad Binder 1:46.230. Not really improving much there. Alex is the last rider. Zarco's in the pits. Vinales and Augusto Fernandez won't improve their lap times. Neither will Jorge Martin. That is it, with the times being over. And Vinales will cross the line to confirm it. Martin in the pit lane. Done enough. Augusto Fernandez stays second fastest. And Maverick Vinales rounds out the lap time in 7th position with the checkered flags. That's the end then of the first practice session for the Japanese Grand Prix of MotoGP. Here's how they finished, how they matter. Jorge Martin from Augusto Fernandez, Marco Bezzecchi, Pecco Bagnaia, Johan Mir, Brad Binder, Maverick Vinales, Jack Miller, Fabio Quartararo, Ralph Fernandez, the top 10. Then Johan Zarco, Franco Morbidelli, Marc Marquez, Fabio Di Antonio, Paul Espargaro, Miguel Oliveira, Aleix Espargaro, Carl Crutchlow, Takiki Nakagami, Michele Pirro, and Alex Rins. In terms of your coverage for this weekend, we've done the first practice session. Practice 2 is live later on today, 6:55 a.m. until 8:05 a.m. That is British summertime. That is the practice session, which will determine the running order. That's live on Twitch, delayed coverage on YouTube. Saturday, 2:05 a.m. to 2:45. The free practice 2 session for MotoGP. That's live on Twitch, delayed on YouTube. 2:45 to 3:40 tomorrow morning is the MotoGP qualifying. That's live on Twitch and on YouTube. The same goes at 6:50 to 7:50 for the Tissot Sprint live both on Twitch and YouTube. On Sunday, you can join us for warm-up. That's going to be delayed on YouTube. And then you can join us for live coverage at 3:50 till 4:40 of the Moto3 race. That's live on Twitch, delayed on YouTube. 5:10 till 6. You can join us for the Moto2. That's live on Twitch, delayed on YouTube. 6:50 till 8. You can join us live on YouTube and on Twitch for the MotoGP Grand Prix of Japan. Not a bad session then to kick off the action from the Japanese Grand Prix. It's Jorge Martin who strikes first blood. Practice is coming up later to start the running order for Q1, Q2. See you then. Bye-bye.